Messi! Messi!
Gonna heave one is
A trick, and Pat Garrity
Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jacob Rudner here alongside Noah Cameras and Ariel Putterman, and welcome back to this week's episode of dTSPN. Before we get started, I want to say welcome and thank you for following to our brand new dTSPN Instagram. I highly recommend you give it a follow for highlights and a whole bunch of other cool stuff at dTSPN. It's simple, go follow it and you will really enjoy it. But thank you so much to our newest followers. Now, let's get into it. NBA playoffs are well underway. We are into the second round now. And to nobody's surprise, a first-round exit was the Los Angeles Clippers. Again, I mean, every single year they seem to exit first, second round. They have not ever been a championship team. What is the deal with the Clippers? Where do they go from here to build a championship?
Yeah, so like you said, the last 5 playoffs, the Clippers have had a series lead and lost it. So what are they going to do? Now, they have 3 big free agents coming up next year with J.J. Redick, Chris Paul, and Blake Griffin. And here's the problem. The Clippers, with the team they have right now, they're not going to win. So they just cannot keep this team because they're not going to win. Now, if I were Chris Paul, I would actually think about leaving. He's not going to. Chris Paul likes it in L.A. I think he's going to stay with the Clippers and try to, with the end of his career coming up, try to maybe get a championship. But I think with this team they have, even if they make some changes, I don't think Chris Paul will win a championship on the Clippers. And it's sad for him because he's a great player, but I think they need to change drastically to even have a chance at a championship.
Here's what I think they should do. I think they should keep Paul. He's a top 5 point guard in the league. If they want to win anytime soon, they need to keep him. He should be their top priority. Then what I think they have to do is get rid of Blake. I know it's sad. He's been a Clipper his whole life. But I think that if they can replace him with a much more affordable but still effective power forward like Taj Gibson or Nikola Mirotic, who are both free agents, I think that'll be a huge boost for them. And then at small forward, they really struggled this year. They didn't have a top guy. So I think that if they trade for Carmelo, because he's been wanting to be traded, I think that if they move him to the Clippers, that'll make it a lot easier on Carmelo because he has a good point guard, which will take a lot of pressure off him, and that'll lead the Clippers to maybe even a second round next year, maybe even a championship upcoming years.
I have a question. What do you think if they kept this roster, and then you said they had a problem at small forward, what if they add like Rudy Gay? Like, do you think that would help their problem, or do you think they have to get rid of Blake Griffin to change everything?
I still think they have to get rid of Blake. I think that in the playoffs, you can't trust him. He gets injured every year. Mm-hmm. I think that they can't spend too much money on him because he's holding a lot of the pressure of the Clippers. I think that if they keep Blake, then it's a big mistake, and they'll keep on struggling in the playoffs.
I disagree with something you said. I think that if they were to acquire a Rudy Gay type player, I think Blake Griffin is still a fit because Rudy Gay is definitely a better half NBA player. He's not in the bottom half of guys in the NBA. He's definitely an upper echelon type player. So really, if you were to plug in a Rudy Gay into this situation, I think that he does better their lineup. I think that he does improve the situation big time. So really, that actually could be the way to go, is if you acquire Rudy Gay and you have Blake Griffin still plugged in the lineup. Do you think that works?
My only problem with Rudy Gay is that he's also injury prone. He missed last season with a torn ACL. So if you want a lot of injury prone players on your team, then that's just not a good strategy because eventually that could lead to a big gap in your team, and that could lead to not even a playoff and maybe missing it next year.
I have one last question. Do you think that if they were to get rid of Blake Griffin, get Carmelo, and now you have like a Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, DeAndre Jordan type team, do you really think that could still compete with the Warriors and Cavs? Because I don't think that team is going to push them ahead. Because even with that team, Melo's aging. I know he'll be better off the ball than on the ball. But the Warriors and Cavs are on a whole other level. I still don't think they'll win a championship with that team.
I think that they'll definitely have more of a chance. I don't think they'll be that championship team yet, but I think that slowly but surely they can get a couple draft picks in the upcoming years. They can sign a couple guys to improve their bench. I think that if they keep doing that, then they have a chance.
Even though Melo's going to retire in a few years?
Well, we never know.
So I am going to break this conversation up, and if you do want to hear more about it, check us out on Twitter and Instagram to hear more about the Clippers situation. It's definitely a conversation we're willing to continue together and with you guys at home, so definitely share your opinions with us. But due to time, we are going to move on to the Celtics. They were down 2-0 in their series and ended up winning it against the Bulls. Tell us a little bit about the Celtics. What went right for them?
So the Celtics, they were down 2-0 in their series. A lot of people wrote them out. Yeah. But they really came back. They won 4 in a row to win that series 4-2. And they've got a tough series against the Wizards, but they're looking in charge. Isaiah Thomas is doing it for his sister, which is really emotional. But I think that it brought something in him, and he wants to win it even more for her. So I think that's what's leading him. And the Celtics have looked really good overall. They won Game 1 against the Wizards, and if they beat the Wizards, then they'll probably take on the Cavs, which will be a great series.
You have any thoughts on that one?
I just think that with the team they have, they've all been meshing well. They won 4 in a row against the Bulls to win the series. But the problem is, again, with like what I said last segment about the Clippers, no one can challenge the Cavs and the Wizards. I don't think this Celtics team is going to beat the Cavs. So great, maybe if they even beat the Wizards are a great team. You don't want to sleep on the Wizards. So whatever happens in this series, they have to play the Cavs. So I don't really see them going to the championship.
So very quickly before we wrap up the NBA section, give me your finals matchup. Who are your two teams?
I mean, it has to be Warriors-Cavs.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You're going Warriors Cavs?
There's no one who can beat them.
I think I'm actually going to go Warriors, and I'm going to go Celtics. I think that they are going to be a surprise to everybody this year. I think that they're going to come out and beat the Cavs. Sorry. Yeah. Moving on to the MLB, it's the first time we've talked about them this season. Season's about 20-25 games in, depending on what team you're looking at this year, and we do have some early season surprise teams. The first of which is the Colorado Rockies of the NL West. They've been absolutely phenomenal this year. Their hitting has looked great. Their pitching has looked great. What has changed? What's new with them?
Well, they've always had their hitting. They hit at Coors Field, and Coors Field's a great hitter's ballpark. But this year, their pitching has really come on. John Gray has been a great pitcher. Tyler Anderson has been a great pitcher. And with all the meshing they've done, they lead the NL West, a really stacked division.
And something I want to point out is they haven't had John Gray except for the first 3 starts of this year. John Gray has been hurt. So really, this team has been good without their ace. When their ace comes back, who knows what they could do. Our second team that's going to be a surprise is from the AL, and that's going to be the New York Yankees. They have done nothing but hit home runs behind Aaron Judge's AL and MLB leading 11th homer of April. What is a surprise from the Yankees, and what can we look forward to?
Well, their batting is back again. Their pitching has struggled a little bit. Severino and Tanaka have been both solid in the last couple games. But I mean, Aaron Judge, he's been a monster in his rookie year so far. And Starlin Castro's been surprisingly good. So I think that power and that hitting has really led them to a really good season so far.
So now for our early surprise players, we do have somebody that everybody has been talking about. So is he a surprise anymore? Not really. It's Eric Thames. He has been absolutely phenomenal this year, mashing 11 home runs in the month of April. He's looked great. He's batting an insane batting average for his first year back in Korea. We're not going to spend a lot of time on him because everybody already knows the situation. But our real surprise here is going to be Ryan Zimmerman. He has been unreal for the Washington Nationals. He's hit 11 home runs. He's batting over 400 this year. What is the deal with Ryan Zimmerman?
Ryan Zimmerman has just kind of resurrected his career. It looked like it was over. It looked like the only hitter was Bryce Harper and Daniel Murphy on the Nationals, and then Anthony Rendon's had a good season. Ryan Zimmerman has been great. Like you said, 11 home runs, over 400 average in April. And if he can continue this, the Nationals could be really, really good this year.
And something I want to talk about Ryan Zimmerman is that he is actually, while yes, he is a surprise, and while yes, he is somebody that nobody was expecting to do this, and he was not somebody that was expected to be a major contributor to the Nationals offense, actually, he really was. His offensive power in his past few years of his career has actually been there. His exit velocity on his bat is actually ranked second in the MLB for the past 3 seasons, but what was ranked last overall was his launch angle. So he wasn't hitting home runs, but he had the power to do so, and it's finally displaying at age 33 season. So now moving on to our disappointments of the season, we have the Kansas City Royals. They are well under 500, and they are on a 9-game losing streak going into May. So really, not such a good start for the Royals this year. Not much to talk about there. Our other surprising team that is bad, and actually it's not so much of a surprise, is the San Francisco Giants. They had the best MLB record going into last year's All-Star break, and since then they've been the MLB worst at 39-59. And also, keep in mind, Madison Bumgarner made a horrible decision going on a dirt biking trip, and he injured himself, and he's out until after the All-Star break. Next, we have Jose Bautista. No home runs yet this year. Huge disappointment there. And finally, something we can talk about maybe a little bit is Rick Porcello, last year's AL Cy Young winner, and he's 1-4 this year with an over 4 ERA. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so just Rick Porcello, like you said, reigning AL Cy Young Award. They had high hopes for him, and he's really bombed this year so far. You said he's 1-4, he's an over 4 ERA, and on this Red Sox team that has a lot of hitting behind him, he's not pitching well enough to even get wins, which I think is kind of shocking.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does wrap it up for us this week on dTSPN. We are so excited to have a new following on Instagram. We do welcome everybody, and we do encourage you to continue to follow us out there because I can guarantee you will enjoy it. Remember, that's at dTSPN on Instagram and at dTSPN 2015 on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.